Much of the discussion around the Great Nicobar project focuses on its scale and ambition, but scale alone does not explain the significance of what is being proposed. When examined closely, the project opens up a much larger debate about development, environmental limits, and the kinds of changes that cannot easily be reversed. Great Nicobar Island occupies an extremely strategic position near major international shipping routes in the Indian Ocean, which is central to the government's justification for the project. The proposal approved in 2021 envisions transforming part of the island into a large infrastructure and logistics hub. The plan includes a deep-sea transshipment port, a dual-used international airport designed for both civilian and military operations, power generation facilities combining gas and solar energy, and an integrated township initially intended to house around 65,000 people. Altogether, the development footprint is expected to cover roughly 10% of the island. The environmental implications arise primarily from the scale of land diversion. Approximately 130 square kilometers of forest land are slated for clearance. Official estimates state that about 8.5 lakh trees would be cut. Independent ecologists and researchers have challenged this figure, arguing that tropical rainforests typically contain far higher tree densities, often several hundred trees per hectare, which could push the actual number of affected trees significantly higher. The disagreement is not merely technical. It reflects uncertainty about the magnitude of ecological transformation involved. The forests in question are not secondary growth or plantation areas. Around 85% of Great Nicobar is covered by dense tropical rainforests, representing one of India's most intact and complex ecosystems. Such forests are built upon intricate biological relationships developed over very long time scales. Their ecological value lies not only in tree cover but in biodiversity, soil systems, hydrology, and species interactions. Once cleared, these characteristics are exceptionally difficult and often impossible to restore in their original form. Great Nicobar also supports highly specific and sensitive wildlife. The island hosts endemic species such as the Nicobar megapod, along with ecologically significant marine and coastal life including dugongs, saltwater crocodiles, and nesting populations of leatherback and olive ridley turtle. Surrounding waters contain coral reef systems that function as living habitats rather than inert structures. Activities associated with large ports, particularly dredging and coastal modification, introduce risks of reef damage, sedimentation changes, and shoreline alteration. While mitigation measures and coral translocation have been proposed and the long-term effectiveness of such interventions remain scientifically debated, geological factors add another layer of complexity. The island lies within a seismically active zone. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami produced dramatic physical changes in parts of the Nicobar region, including land subsidence and coastal reshaping. Large permanent infrastructure in such regions must therefore contend with long-term geophysical risks alongside environmental considerations. The project's strategic rationale is tied to geography and trade. Great Nicobar lies close to the east-west international shipping corridor, and policymakers argue that a transshipment port here could capture a substantial share of regional cargo movement, and estimates often cite the possibility of handling 20 to 30% of regional transshipment traffic, potentially reducing India's dependency on foreign hubs such as Singapore or Colombo. The development is also framed within broader security concerns, particularly India's response to China's expanding network of ports and logistical facilities across the Indian Ocean, commonly described as a string of pearls. From this perspective, the island's location offers surveillance, deployment, and maritime access advantages. However, the core tension lies in the trade-offs being considered. Environmental change in ecosystems of this nature is rarely reversible. Forest clearance, coastal modification, and habitat disruption produce cascading effects that unfold over long periods. Biodiversity loss, once triggered, cannot be fully compensated by regulatory conditions or afforestation programs elsewhere. The human dimension is equally significant. Great Nicobar is home to the Champin tribe, classified as a particularly vulnerable tribal group with an estimated population of only a few hundred individuals. Their lives are closely tied to the island's forest ecosystems. Large-scale development and increased external contact introduce risks related to displacement, livelihood disruption, and disease exposure, particularly for communities with historically limited interaction with outside populations. The National Green Tribunal's approval of the project is therefore notable. The NGT, established as a specialized environmental court, is mandated to evaluate conflict involving forest, wildlife, and environmental clearances using both legal and scientific reasoning. In clearing the project, the tribunal accepted the government's arguments regarding strategic importance and the adequacy of environmental safeguards while the authorities to ensure compliance with regulatory conditions. This decision has broader implications because it reflects how strategic and developmental priorities may be weighed against ecological risk in future cases. Supporters emphasize economic gains, employment generation, logistical capacity, and national security benefits. Critics emphasize ecological irreversibility, biodiversity, vulnerability, geological risk, and the precarious situation of indigenous communities. The debate ultimately concerns how development decisions are evaluated when potential consequences extend far beyond immediate economic calculations and involve systems that cannot be readily restored once altered.